Now.
Yes, we're live.
Does that include me being live?
Yes, Leonard.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome aboard, everybody, on a lovely Monday. It is the lady and the legend, and good morning to you, my darling.
I'm shaking the sound, Leonard.
Good morning to you, my darling.
Happy New Year for you.
Oh, that's right. Happy New Year to all those who observe the Jewish New Year. Happy New Year to you. And there's only about 8 more days of Major League Baseball on weekdays, okay? And we have done a podcast every single day when there was a game.
No, we don't do it on Saturdays.
No, well, except for the weekends, okay?
You mean we've done it for how many years have we done it?
Well, we've done it for
25
a number of years. Good morning to Big Al on the prowl, who has sparked us with a terrific question this morning. Good morning to Chris Gallo, Dad's a Premier, Erwin Minsky, the Mr. Baltimore Oriole, with Eddie Heckman. And notice Erwin and Eddie are rarely in the chat room together because you don't want to have, if there's an explosion, you don't want to have 2 Oriole fans hurt.
We have wait.
You got Jeff Trella. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Rotorius. And good morning to Tommy Johnston, Unholy Toledo, and the way we go. And yes, so Big Al on the prowl has definitely put some life into Chris Gallo is here too. So Big Al on the prowl has come up with a question.
Well, let's let it sit in the chat room for a while.
Well, I put it in the chat room. Here's the question, okay? Something to think about, and put your answers in to the chat room. Of the current players in Major League Baseball, now, which one of the players playing in Major League Baseball now, including Eddie Heckman, will be eventually in the Hall of Fame? Now, we're not including Pujols. We're not including Cabrera. We're not including Mike Trout. We're not going to include Max Scherzer. We're not going to include Clayton Kershaw. So leaving out Pujols, Cabrera, Trout, Scherzer, and Kershaw, name the player or players, and there have already some in the chat room, all right, who you think will make the Hall of Fame. Jeff Trella has answered. Thank you, Chris, on the sound. That's right, Unholy Toledo, and I should have included him. He's an obvious
Verlander,
one.
yes.
Verlander. Jeff Trella says Arenado could get there.
Yeah, you were so surprised when I said Arenado.
Bryce Harper could get there, okay? But Jeff Trella is also comfortable predicting Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Acuna for making it in there. Okay, we'll see about that. But yes, Andrea did. Andrea also agreed by saying Nolan Arenado, somebody that a lot of us would leave off. But think about this for Arenado. Hall of Fame, right? Jeff Trella says he thinks Arenado could get there. Arenado hit a 2-run drive to left field in the 6th inning, giving him 30 home runs and 100 RBIs on the season. It is the 7th time since 2015 that he has reached 30 home runs and 100 RBIs. Okay.
So I looked up my favorite player, Manny Machado.
Well, hold on a second. I have Machado in there too.
Well,
but only 4 others have done it. He's done it 7 times. So Nolan Arenado.
So it says Arenado is okay. He has 30 homers and 100 RBIs. It's the 7th time since 2015. I assume it doesn't count the 2020 shortened season.
Well,
and
it doesn't count that.
But so he probably would have done it then too.
Good morning to Star Dog Tommy Johnson. So that's all right. So you had Arenado. Anybody else?
I said Machado.
And Manny Machado. That's a good one. He could be. Who are the players you think in the chat room could be? And of course, Verlander. I kind of left him off the easy list. Star Dog is in the chat room. Good morning. Okay. Anybody else? If you think of it, put it in the chat room. And by the way, did you watch football? The Denver Broncos.
Did you?
The only National Football League team in the last 30 years to win a game despite having at least 8 or more 3-and-outs.
8 more 3-and-outs than their opponent. What the hell is a 3-and-out?
A 3-and-out.
What's a 3-and-out?
It's when you drive for 3 plays, no first downs, and then you punt on 4th down.
Okay, so the absolute fail.
Right, the absolute fail. 8 or more of those, and you still win the game. And that's what happened.
8 more 3-and-outs than their opponent.
Right.
The Broncos had 9, and the 49ers had 1.
That's it. Okay. So, and by the way, on the Arenado thing, only 3 players have even 4 seasons of 30 and 100 over that same span. There were Abreu, J.D. Martinez, and Edwin Encarnacion.
Yeah, and Arenado's done it 7 times.
Yep. So when you think of it,
Since
Arenado
2015
could very well be a Hall of Famer. I'll tell you somebody who's not a Hall of Famer, as we're talking about those players, not the obvious, not the Scherzer, not the Trout, the Cabrera,
Pujols.
the Pujols.
Is King Hap here yet?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're talking about those
King
who
Hap,
will be.
whoopee.
King, there's a player that definitely will not be, and that's King Hap. Good morning to the
Yay,
King, to the
Hapster.
King of all times. Okay,
As soon as I woke up and saw that Pujols hit 2 home runs, the first person I thought of was King Hap.
Oh yeah, King Hap won some money.
$1,000.
He won $1,000. Well, there you go.
Great job, dude.
Tommy Johnson.
This is what betting does for sports. It really does make it fun when you do things like this. At the beginning of the season, Pujols needed 20 home runs to get to 700.
Right.
And, a lot of people really didn't think he would get there. But going back to St. Louis, okay, now he's with the best veteran team.
And Eddie Heckman just picked 2 rookies. Adley Rushman and the Gunnar, or whatever his name is.
What, for the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, for the Hall of Fame. 2 Baltimore rookies.
I wish the Hall of Fame would start allowing people in based on their stats instead of their whether they liked you or not.
But I will tell you, I also said Altuve. What do you think of Altuve?
Altuve should make it.
As a second baseman?
For
Absolutely.
sure. I think so. Anyways, let's go back and talk about Pujols some more.
Okay.
What a great time this is. Okay. Do you want to tell us the stats that we have? Do you want to? He was batting 189 on the 4th of July. Okay, Pujols.
Yep.
And then in August, he started hitting 7 homers in August in one 10-game stretch.
Yep.
And since that time, 21. How many home runs? 21 homers.
Yep. Batted 265, 21 homers, 58 RBIs.
34 runs and a stolen base.
Unbelievable.
Anyways, fourth player.
Fourth player in MLB history. Second player ever for 20 home runs in his first season and his last season. The question is, and Albert says without a doubt, this is his last season.
Well,
does anybody think that he will be playing? Let's go to St. Louis.
He needs 5 hits.
And talk to Dennis Timko. What do you think?
He only needs 5 hits to pass up Babe Ruth.
Zelmo is here. Do you think he'll play next year?
Now,
I say he will.
The COVID-shortened season, you always like to point out that Pujols would be...
Oh, yeah.
Without the COVID-shortened season, Pujols would be past Babe Ruth right now. Mm-hmm. But you also have to take into consideration that now there's a DH in both leagues, and the fact that there is a DH allowed him to be able to reach his milestone.
Absolutely. And I still think that one of the things in the off-season is going to be... This is such a tremendous off-season with Ohtani. I mentioned all the names and the possibility of trading Trout. The Angels doing something. They're going to be sold. Okay. You got all Judge. And you also have the story of Albert Pujols.
So will
he play again, or will Potato Pete take his place? Good morning, Potato Pete.
If he doesn't play again, then he will be the second player ever to hit 20 homers in his first and 20 homers in his last seasons. First and last seasons.
Yep.
So if he left baseball now, he would only be the second player to ever do that.
Well, I'll tell you what. He has never homered off of Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
He's batting about 360.
Yeah, he hits 361 against Kershaw.
Yeah, and how many about 36 at bats?
But he's never hit a home run off of Kershaw.
Never hit a home run off of Clayton Kershaw. Okay?
So Andrew Haney was the 454th pitcher to give a home run up to Albert Pujols, which leads everybody. I mean, 454 different pitchers he's hit home runs off of. Barry Bonds, 449. Alex Rodriguez, 422. And it just keeps going down from there. I mean, even Manny Ramirez, 360.
And the great part of it is that Pujols homered in a place that rejuvenated his career, and that's Dodger Stadium. Okay.
Well, how did that place rejuvenate his career?
For some reason, it did. He was well accepted. But I got to tell you,
well accepted.
In addition to his 700 regular season home runs, he also has 71 spring training home runs and 19 postseason home runs.
And he's also got exactly 500 home runs against righties and 200 home runs against the lefties.
Yep.
So 700.
Okay.
Exactly.
So
isn't it funny how the numbers...
And with 700 home runs...
One more thing.
Yes.
He has 4 multi-home run games this season. Before that, nobody had ever had 2 multi-home run games in a season that was age 42 or older.
Really?
Albert Pujols is this... I mean, I'm telling you, this is where I say... The betting part of it makes baseball so fun because
bull dinky to
with
see
what King Happ did with his Pujols bet. That is so fun to watch that happen.
In addition to loving baseball,
yes, it helps.
And you can't say that about King Happ. He does a baseball show,
and he does football, UFC, wrestling, everything.
He does the whole thing. King Happ is a sports fan, unlike those who watch that. What's that show that you watch? Presented by DraftKings. In today's economy...
Quick pitch. Everything's presented by DraftKings, though, Lenny.
In today's economy, where all you hear is about people who can't afford to pay their bills, they can't afford to buy food, and then you talk about gambling?
Well,
how many people in this country today... All right, and then jobs are going to be...
It makes the game enjoyable for people. If it's just a couple bucks...
you can't pay for your dinner a couple of bucks.
Well, clearly these people can pay for
their
dinner.
Well, clearly they can't. And that's
Stop
the
dogging
problem.
on gambling.
I am dogging on gambling. This is not the time...
You gamble every day when you refresh the page on your Merrill Lynch account.
When I wake up every morning, I gamble. Anyway, I think the gambling should be put to side right now. People in this country can't be egged into gambling.
You're allowed to gamble.
And now DraftKings offers you what? $200 if you place a bet.
You only get the money to bet on other things.
Yeah, you get the money to, but people don't get. But the headlines don't tell you that.
Come on,
the headlines tell you get $200 if you place a bet. Come on,
betting is fun. If I would have bet on Albert Pujols, I would be having so much fun right now.
If you would have bet on meeting me,
and then you could use the $1,000 that you got to bet next year or whatever you do, but it makes it fun to watch the games. And Albert Pujols is an extra special part. Hey, one other thing. So Lenny and I watched on Netflix a movie called Facing Nolan.
Well, I'll just hold on. We got to say hello to your second husband.
Malpal?
Yeah, Malpal. Or is he your first husband?
He's my friend, Leonard.
Whatever it is, every day it's Malpal. Nice to see you, kid. We know that it gets a little hairy every once in a while, but go ahead.
Okay, so we saw a movie on Netflix, if you have Netflix still. Yeah. Facing Nolan, and it was a documentary about Nolan Ryan. And
a great movie.
It was, I just loved watching it.
It was fantastic, and I grew up with Nolan Ryan.
Yes.
Especially as a Met fan.
But you had no idea how good he was.
And when they traded him, there were mostly the people were not in favor of the trade because he was a good young prospect.
But he wasn't that good at the Mets.
At that point,
he had no control whatsoever.
And I'll tell you what. Even the big baseball fan that I am, I did not realize
51
how totally dominant Nolan Ryan was.
He had 51 records, and he grew up watching Sandy Koufax. That was his favorite pitcher growing up. And he was so excited to be able to get his 4th no-hitter to tie Sandy Koufax. But he ended up pitching for 27 years.
27 years. Now, of course, I knew that, but it really had, I never paid attention
Not
to
just
it.
pitching. If he went out to the mound, he's like Max Scherzer. You just don't pull him off if he says no.
Oh.
If he didn't pitch a complete game, he was upset about that. He did not. But when he started to age and his back problems started to catch up with him and stuff, he hit 5,000 strikeouts. And they asked him, will you be around for 6,000? And he absolutely said no. Nobody thought he would.
Would he end up with 5,700?
Yeah, 5,700 strikeouts.
Holy mackerel.
A complete and great family man from Texas.
The point is, if you get a chance to watch this Nolan Ryan special,
and he's in it,
yeah,
right?
watch it. He's definitely
and all kinds of players are in it. And do you remember the one player that would not come on the documentary was Robin Ventura, because they said that one fight that he had with Robin Ventura, the Robin Ventura's teammate said, if you get hit by Nolan tonight, you have to charge the mound, or else you have to pay $500 to the people around you.
And he got in that headlock.
And of course, Nolan Ryan hits Ventura, and he was actually, you could tell it wasn't like a natural thing. He actually had to think about it before he charged out there, and he knew he had to, and he just got pummeled by Nolan Ryan. Right?
Anyway, watch the Nolan Ryan special if you can find it.
And they also said
it's not as good as the Daniel Ferrara special, though. I'll tell you that. They also said that,
the equipment that they used to get the velocity on the pitches, the radar, it wasn't as good as it is today.
Oh, no.
And they were saying they were clocking it at 101, 102. And it really was, if you're using this stuff today, it would have been clocked at 108 miles an hour, dude. This guy was throwing 300 innings, striking out 300 people. It was just... It's never going to happen. Yeah. Those records from Nolan Ryan will never be broken.
And finally, on the Albert Pujols side, he's 6 RBI shy of catching Babe Ruth for second place on the all-time RBI list.
Yeah, so he only has a few more games.
Yeah, Hank Aaron is the leader. Now, Aaron has 2,297. Pujols...
6 RBI shy of Babe Ruth for second place.
2,208. So Pujols needs about
6.
Definitely 2 years to be the all-time. Or it could be 1, but you'd think it would be 2 years. And
so let's talk about Aaron Judge now.
We're finally going to get to Aaron Judge.
Okay.
Here we're doing a show for almost 20 minutes. We haven't mentioned Aaron Judge.
Yes.
How many games has he gone without?
Well, yesterday there was a rain out. It was raining, and the fans were sticking around. They were not going anywhere. These people were hell-bent on seeing Judge hit that home run. And, they only have 3 more home games for the Yankees. So it's really, of course, the fans want to see it happen at home. But I think if it happens at any ballpark in the country, the fans are still going to be just like they were the other day when Pujols hit his 700. The fans were on their feet.
I mean, no disrespect to the fans. But the fans who came out tonight to cheer on Aaron Judge, I've never seen so many fans waiting out a bad rain delay at a late hour like this one as a regular season game, okay? They were jammed over the overhang. They were jammed over the concourses. But if Aaron Boone...
This is coming from some writer.
But still, it's true. If they made an announcement that if Aaron Boone says that...
This guy thinks that Aaron Boone should have announced that he wasn't going to allow his players back on the field.
Not his players, Aaron Judge. Then everybody would have left.
If Aaron Boone wants to win this game without returning to the field, he should have announced as he is removing Judge as the DH if the game resumes. This is the only reason we are waiting this out. There's zero other reason we're waiting this out.
They should have announced that Aaron Judge was being taken out of the game.
It's not...
Come on, man, a little...
You're not owed an explanation from a manager.
Come on, think about the fans. They were in the rain. People were standing there.
I'm sorry. People are so
If they said Aaron Judge was coming out...
They're supposed to get on the loudspeaker and be like, hey, we're not going to put Aaron Judge back out there, so just go home.
Yes, why not?
Because you're stupid. That's stupid.
I'm not stupid.
That is stupid.
Well,
that's just stupid.
It's only taking care of your fans. That's what it is. 6 shutout innings for, what's his name? Nestor.
We like Nestor.
That gives him, a 2.5 ERA and 151 innings?
You don't just know that in your head.
No, I actually did know it.
You know
I
Nestor
also know
Cortez?
that the last time a Yankee had a lower ERA with at least 150 innings was in 1980. Rudy May did it.
The last time a Yankee had a lower ERA with 150 innings. That's crazy. What about Clemens? What about all those guys? What about
the second best performance
CeCe?
by a Yankee? Well,
CeCe didn't have any ERA under?
No, I guess he didn't.
That makes no sense.
And then Atlanta beat the Phillies. They stay within a game and a half of the Mets. I keep thinking that the Mets are 10 games out, right?
Atlanta is going to... I feel... Okay, sorry, Mets fans. I like the Mets, too, okay? But they got a problem. A huge problem. They have to go to Atlanta and play 3 games against Atlanta, which, as far as I'm concerned, look like the way better team right now. Atlanta is just crushing the ball.
And the Phillies claim...
And they have to go to Atlanta and play 3 games, and they only have a game and a half lead on Atlanta. So... After this weekend, I think you're going to see the Mets kiss their NL East division title goodbye.
So the Phillies have what do you think is going to happen here? The Phillies have a game and a half lead over the Brewers for the final wild card spot. Now,
and those two are only a game and a half behind San Diego for the final wild card.
Yes, but the Phillies are on the road for the rest of the season.
And the Brewers at home?
And the Brewers are at home for their final 9 games.
I think the Phillies are going to get the spot. If they... Look... San Diego, Malpal thinks San Diego won't make the playoffs, and there's a chance that they don't, even though they had a great game yesterday.
I think Kenny
and Soto
Flamier
is finally turning it on.
Kenny Flamier will make the playoffs.
Hello.
Good morning to Kenny.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the Lady and the Legend, and we should be doing this a lot of places. Now, Arizona announces that they will not pitch Madison Bumgarner for the rest of the season.
Oh, well.
Because they want to evaluate some of their younger pitchers.
Okay.
And he has 2 years left on his contract,
So
right.
Why should they?
I don't know.
Their pitching coach is great there, so you should be looking at these young pitchers in Arizona next year.
All right, let me ask you this question. How many teams...
One other thing.
Whoa.
About Nolan Ryan.
Go ahead.
He wasn't that good until he went to the Astros, which wasn't a good team, but they had a great pitching coach. I forget his name, but this guy literally stood there with him to make sure that he didn't reach across his body, and that immediately made him into a superstar.
Once again, thanks to the Big
The
L.
pitching coaches.
Anybody else have a player? What are you talking about gambling, okay? I'm voting no on the line gambling in California. Thank you. Anybody else have a player? Not Trout, not Scherzer, not Pujols, not Cabrera. Who you think? Now, Andrea
Machado.
said Nolan Arenado and Manny Machado. Who do you think? I say Altuve.
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper's a name. That's a pretty popular name. Who else do you think will make the Hall of Fame this year?
This year?
Not this year, of course.
In the future.
In the future, will make the Hall of Fame. You could say Soto.
Austin Riley.
You could say, I want to know who you're saying. Okay?
How about the one in the Toronto, the leadoff guy?
Springer?
Bichette.
Oh, Bichette. All right. Whoever you think will make the Hall of Fame. I'll ask you a question now. Teams to win 106 or more games in 3 straight full seasons.
One team. Ever, right? Ever?
I asked you how many teams.
The Dodgers.
Pretty good.
And they tied for their most wins in a season. They tied it yesterday, 106. And if they get one more win, which they will,
and we
they
all
break
know,
the record for the most wins.
We all know that the Yankees are that Cleveland is doing well, but their last day off.
Oh Lordy, here we go.
The last day, the Guardians.
The last day off.
September 8th.
Was their last day off, and then they get one today.
They get one. So in between, the Guardians went 16-2 over 17 days, and that included a doubleheader sweep. 15 and 11 inning wins. They had 4 one-run wins, 5 by 2 runs. They went from just a game and a half up to clinching the American League Central.
Yeah, because the White Sox, dude, they've lost 6 in a row at home right now. They just had 2 home stands.
6 in a row.
A 6-game homestand. They lost every one of them. They're batting like 205, and they're negative 21 run differential.
Right.
They just basically crapped the bed, dude, in the last 6 games. They shit the bed.
A woman's not supposed to say that.
I don't know. It reminds me, like, I used to say that all the time, and now I can't help but think of Johnny Depp when I say it. I'm sorry. I won't say it anymore.
Here's one for keep in mind for those of you still thinking that maybe Aroldis Chapman's going to make a comeback. the Yankees are contemplating DFAing Aroldis Chapman.
According to who?
According to some writer.
Some vulture.
Okay. Now, the Astros ended their regular season with a 51-30 record on the road. Only the Dodgers are going to have a better mark.
Okay. What am I doing? I wasn't. I know you thought it was my turn to say something.
I don't know, but 3 teams. There are 3 teams. This is interesting. 3 teams currently in the American League wildcard spots. Now, Toronto is 85-67.
And they have a 68 positive run difference.
Well, that's they all do.
Yes.
Tampa 84-68.
68
Seattle
run differential.
83. All have 68 run differential.
Which is
Isn't
good.
that something?
That's okay.
They're all the
It's
same.
not even close to the Dodgers or the Yankees.
What do you think of Willie Adames for next year?
He's batting .312 in his last 34 games with 8 home runs and 29 RBI. During this stretch, he has a .373 on base percentage, .587 slugging, and a .960 OPS.
How much are we paying for Willie Adames next year?
I think I'll pay some.
Some. All right. How much is some?
In 34 games, 8 home runs. That's
how much are we paying for Willie Adames?
$10 or $11.
Oh, get it. You're not going to get him. You've got to go. I'm going 15 on Willie Adames.
Okay, let me look
and
at his
that's
numbers.
Cheap.
I have to admit.
Willie Adames, 15.
I have
Go
to.
on. Anybody else? Willie Adames.
I have to look at his numbers
15.
overall. Let's
right?
look at his numbers.
Eddie Heckman loves the chat room. All right? The mighty White Sox are under. Isn't that something? Isn't that something?
Milwaukee shortstop, 31 homers this year.
And you can.
Yes, I'll pay more. I admit it. I have to go look at his numbers because this
15.
is kind of new.
I'm going 15.
Last year he hit 25 homers.
I'm going 16.
This year he hit 31 and he's only 26. So next year he'll be in the prime of his life.
I'm going 17.
Let me look at his graphs.
You ever bid against yourself in a draft?
You're so wacko, dude. Okay, his only problems are he doesn't hit the ball that hard, he doesn't run very fast, and his batting average is .241 because he's striking out 26% of the time. But for the 3rd straight season, his strikeout rate has decreased, and his contact rate has increased, which tells me that he's only getting better. He's 27 next year, like I said, so I'd be willing to pay, and he's a shortstop, so let me see.
And here's the big deal. For those of us who come to the chat room, we know how good Willie Adames is. Would you say that at least 50% of the fantasy baseball community is not really aware of how good Willie Adames is?
He bats second. He bats second all the time.
The Phillies have existed, for over 140 years?
I love the Phillies.
All right.
Kyle Schwarber never stopped hitting home runs, right?
Name the Philly outfielders with more home runs in a season than Kyle Schwarber. He's got 42.
Just one.
That's right.
One hitter has...
One. Chuck Klein
in
1929. You weren't even born then.
Kyle Schwarber led off the Phillies.
Only Toledo was there.
Kyle Schwarber led off the Phillies' very first home game of the season with a home run.
He did?
And he led off the Phillies' very last home game of the year with a home run.
That's phenomenal.
That's a great tidbit.
That's a great one. And then, of course, some people still think that Brad Hand will still come up with some saves.
Yeah, he could, because they backdated his injury placement, so he could still be on the postseason roster.
But he's got tendinitis, and we don't know how long he'll be survived. But look out.
Man, tendinitis. You need to be more like Nolan Ryan, Max Scherzer, these guys. They go out there, they pitch her. It doesn't matter.
Watch out for Chris Davinsky. He's going to have a big bullpen role.
His name is Chris?
Name is Chris.
Okay, what about the rest of our friends over there? Don't you have Seranthony?
Yeah, I got Seranthony, but Chris Dominguez.
And what about that other dude?
I just have Seranthony, and now I'm adding
Christian Javier is going to be a good pitcher.
Oh, he already is.
Yes.
He already is.
Absolutely. I think the only reason we didn't draft a lot of him was because we weren't sure if he would be in the rotation. But he allowed 1 hit in 6 innings for Houston.
Struck out 8 in his 3rd scoreless outing.
What does he
Faced the minimum hitters possible. How much are you paying for Javier next year?
He's another guy that does well under Malpal's formula of ground balls and strikeouts.
Malpal's formula? Yeah, what is that called?
When you add up I don't know the name of it.
Who would you rather
It
have
works.
next year? And I may have asked this question.
Okay,
Christian Javier or Alek Manoah?
Alek Manoah, dude.
Whoa!
There's no doubt about it.
Whoa! Let's go to the chat
Isn't
room.
Manoah lefty too?
Alek Manoah or Christian Javier? Who are you taking next year, chat room?
Idiots.
Right? And according to Erwin Minsky, Nick Castellanos is coming back this week for the Phils. Okay.
Poor guy. He's had a horrible season.
Next year in the draft, you're looking for a pitcher. You want Manoah or you want...
There's no question, Leonard.
Who?
It's Manoah.
There's no question.
There's no question.
Christian Javier or Alek Manoah?
Come on, man.
Now, Toronto was allowed 20 runs in losing the first 2 games, but then they continued to play Tampa, and they limited Tampa to a total of 2 runs as they win the final 2 games. How about that?
Irwin says Manoah. Everybody will.
Everybody says Manoah?
No, Irwin did. He's the only one that
All right,
answered so
Irwin
far.
says Manoah over Christian Javier. That's a very interesting
Dennis
choice.
Timko, what did he say?
I don't know.
Same. He's
Manoah.
smart. He's smart.
Manoah over Javier.
Yes.
Now, George Springer had a 2-run shot in the 3rd, and then he added a 5th-inning solo. 23rd home run of the season as Toronto took a 4-1 lead. He finished with 3 hits, but he had his 20th career multi-homer game. How good is George Springer?
Well, he still only hit 23, and he hasn't been that impressive since he came to the Blue Jays.
And Chris Gallo says he's keeping Javier.
But
Chris Gallo's keeping Javier.
He's keeping
Eddie Heckman
Javier.
says Javier. So
what?
that's a
Eddie?
very interesting choice.
Oh, come
Javier and Manoah. Sunday's crowd of about 16,000 gave the Tampa team final home attendance for the season of 1,128,000, 3rd lowest in the majors for a good team. Talk about Oakland having to move. You talk about Cincinnati has to change their mentality. And Tampa, no matter what they do, Tampa drew 1,178,000 and 219
in 2019.
in 2019. Look, COVID restrictions.
There's no COVID restrictions in Tampa.
No, but they have a.
I don't know where these writers come up with this stuff. Florida never had any.
They have drawn under 1.3 million at home. So how does Tampa?
Because they don't have COVID restrictions.
But they
there.
have. Forget the COVID.
That's what they're trying to justify this as.
They have a good team. They have nice weather.
Yes.
Why is Tampa not drawing?
They never have been a very high attendance because the ballpark is in a bad part of town.
Are they playing home this weekend? Got that big hurricane coming.
I don't know where they play, Leonard.
All right. Juan DeFranco extended his career high hitting streak to 12 games. He had a 3rd-inning single. And Tyler Glass now is scheduled to rejoin the team on Wednesday.
That's huge. You know that? He's a relief
pitcher.
pitcher now. That's what they're saying.
Yes, he is.
But he'll be a multi-inning relief pitcher. And if he's available, I would say if you're in the playoffs, you could get him.
And certainly if you can see part of listening now to fantasy baseball, good morning, Zelmo, is to pick up players now so you can keep them for next year if you're in a keeper league.
I love Glass now.
Philadelphia holds a 1.5 lead over the Brewers for the 3rd wild card spot.
What about the Padres? They only have a game over them.
Yep. So it's pretty hard to believe.
Scroll up so I can see the chat room, Leonard.
No, the chat room's over here, okay?
No, it's right here, Leonard.
All right, there you go. Now, here's one for you that Unholy Toledo knows about. Adrian Sampson. How about that one? Adrian Sampson.
He knows him because he's a Cubby.
That's right. He wasn't supposed to be a fixture for the Cubs.
Well, he was playing last year. This isn't his first season. But anyway, he's 2-1 with a 1.55 ERA and 5 starts just this month for the Cubbies, who finished 5-2 on their 7-game road trip. But they went to Miami and Pittsburgh.
So what?
So give him credit.
And the Sampson guy, he was... What are you scratching me for?
I'm feeling you.
All right. He was placed on waivers twice in May. Once by the Cubs and once by Seattle. And then he came to us. So what do you think?
Plus, he was optioned to the minors 3 times. And you can only get optioned to the minors 5 times in a season now.
Here, Stardog wants to know you going
Buxton?
or Mondesi.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a problem with Buxton.
Yeah.
I still like him. I like him. I think he plays enough. I wonder where his price range will be this year. Because, every other year it feels like Buxton rises up the ADP and then falls back down.
And according to Chris Gallo, Tampa's ballpark is in St. Pete. I've never been there, but
it's a bad part of town.
I have heard stories that it's in a bad...
We went to St. Petersburg for the first pitch, and we loved it there.
Yes.
We didn't see any problems.
I don't know.
We loved it there.
We didn't see any problems in Oakland either.
No, we didn't.
Right?
We must not be looking around too much. But I liked Oakland, too. Even though, remember when we tried to buy stuff at Oakland and they had none of their credit card machines working? And you had to go to an ATM to get money?
Now, the Chicago Cubs are 32-29 since the All-Star break.
Thanks in part to a rotation that's posted .315 ERA since then.
So what do you think? Do you think that it's time, and we'll address this to the great Unholy Toledo, will the Chicago Cubs, and I'll use the word competitive, will the Cubbies be competitive? Look at this turnout we got in the chat room. Then we'll get back to Unholy Toledo. Big Al on the prowl. Greg has just joined us.
Yay,
there you go. Chris Gallo, Dennis Temko, Eddie Ekman, Erwin Minsky, Jeff Trella, Kenny Flamia, King Hap, Lenny, that's me, Malpal, Rotorius, Stardog, Tommy Johnston, Unholy Toledo,
Zelmo.
So Unholy Toledo, tell me, will the Cubbies be competitive next year? I say competitive, whatever that means. Okay?
Morning.
Well, they're 32-29 since the All-Star break.
Wait, did he just say trade Buxton for Nick Senzel?
Who said that?
Malpal. I think he's full of it.
And we'll throw in Luis Robert, okay?
What is Luis? Hold on. So Lenny, I don't know what happened yesterday. We're just sitting here.
And I'm laughing.
And all of a sudden Lenny says, you'll never believe it, dude. Luis Robert. Tell him what it said.
I don't know what it said.
He was sitting down for a scheduled relax day.
Yeah.
He was sitting down for a day of rest. I'm sorry, your team is trying to fight for a playoff spot. And you're 0-6 at home. And you have a negative run differential of 21 in the last 6 games. And you bench Luis Robert.
I don't know. Brian, how about K. Brian Hayes? What do you think of him? He's missed like 4 or 5 straight games. He's been in and out of the lineup all year. He had 2 hits in each of the Pirates games. The Pirates have dropped 9 out of 10, and they're in danger, by the way, of losing 100 games in consecutive seasons. And I go back to actually, Dick Groat was a pretty good player, but the Pirates had some pretty bad teams back in the 50s. Bill Verdon was their center fielder, Mazeroski at second, Groat at short. So far, I'm naming all good players. But
so the Pirates have the most errors of any team this season.
How about that?
Last year they had just 70 errors. That was second fewest in the majors, and now they have a major league leading 112 errors. Can you imagine if they would have got Javi Baez, because he has 25 errors on his own?
Yeah, they don't have, right. He's on Detroit.
Yes, Leonard.
So it was the final road game for the Brewers, who are still a game and a half behind Philadelphia.
And they get to play all their games at home. 9
games at home. The Brewers would lose any tiebreakers if they finished with a tie with the Phillies or San Diego, because they lost the season series to both.
Okay, so we have the Brewers. They have the last 9 games at home against St. Louis, Miami, and Arizona.
Yeah, okay.
And so they can't tie the Phillies or San Diego, because they'll lose to both of them since they lost both series against them.
Yep, and Dick Groat from Duke University.
Anyways, the Yankees...
Now hear this. This is important news. And I don't know why I say it's important. For some reason, I thought that Miguel Andujar was going to be a good player.
He deserves to play on a team.
They announced the secret. I mean,
and the Pirates claimed him.
The Pirates claimed Andujar off waivers. They only have 9 games to play, so the claim was made with an eye. But they're going to keep him
for next year.
Of course, towards next year. Pittsburgh has not had a set DH since trading away Daniel Vogelbach. And Andujar could fill that role next year at a very low
And I'm
price.
sure he would be pleased to do it because all he's ever wanted is a chance to play.
Well,
Crying out loud.
he's never played. What about that other Yankee guy?
Meneses.
Not the other Yankee who never got a chance to play. Complained
Clint
about
Frazier.
Yeah, Clint Frazier. Wow.
Did he
Crazy.
play good? He finally got a chance to play this year, didn't he?
No, he hasn't even played this year.
Oh, I thought he was so happy.
And Joey Meneses hit his 12th homer.
Can you believe that?
C.J. Abrams.
The Nationals are being a thorn in the side of some teams
Are you
right
kidding
now.
me?
All of a sudden, they're being a thorn in the side. Everyone's like, "Oh, good, we have to face the Nationals! Yay!"
Nobody talked about Joey Meneses as a preseason player. Nobody. What's the matter? Did I yell too loud?
You just rude.
I'm rude? Why?
Yes, because I'm talking. And
I apologize. Go ahead, finish.
but it's okay, Leonard.
That's all right. Thank you.
What about Dylan Cease?
Could you scratch my back? Nationals, they're showing some signs.
Let's talk about Dylan Cease, a Cy Young Award candidate.
Yeah, who else is going to win it?
Struck out 5, walked 3, 4 hits, 14-7 with an ERA of 2.06, second best in the majors to Verlander, who has 1.82.
Yeah, so Cease or Verlander?
I'm taking Verlander.
You taking Verlander to win
Absolutely,
the
I love him.
Cy Young
I
Award?
like him.
Cease, what do you think, chat room? Cease or Verlander? Eddie Heckman's talking about Kansas football. Come on, Eddie, get your foot in the program. Would you rather? Who's going to win the Cy Young
The
Award?
Kansas City Royals scored 11 runs in an inning yesterday against Seattle and beat them.
Okay, but the White Sox fell to 13-12. Everybody was raving about Cairo,
Under the manager, Cairo. Yeah. God, I wish these people would just give it up.
and they are 35-43 at home. They have not won more than 6 in a row. They rank second to last in fielding, and I'll tell you, they've hit just 144 homers, 97 homers
Behind the Yankees. 97 homers less than the Yankees.
And now get this.
Oh, wait. It's not just Luis Roberts resting.
It wasn't. It was Jose Abreu
And Eloy
are
out of the lineup.
They were out of the lineup for a rest.
Oh, that's absurd.
Are you kidding me?
I mean, look.
Out of the lineup for a rest. You got to be out of your freaking mind. Right? King Hap? Out of the lineup
That's
for
crazy,
a rest.
dude. I would be so mad. If I was a freaking White Sox fan, I would be so annoyed at this. How do you bench all your good hitters? Abreu and Eloy? Abreu's been hitting over 500 at bats for the last 6-7 years.
Unbelievable.
And he can't...
And Dylan Cease, by the way, he's got the lowest ERA in starts on 4 days rest in the history of the American leagues. Jared Weaver, Bert Blyleven, Corey Kluber, they were in the mix. But Dylan Cease, when pitching on 4 days rest, has a 1.42 ERA, 16 games.
Listen to this.
What?
The Guardians.
Wait a second. He's one of 13 pitchers with 15 or more starts on 4 days rest
this year.
This year.
There's 13 pitchers with at least 15 starts on 4 days rest. That's interesting.
Right.
But the Guardians, they're the first team to win a division with at least 16 rookies making their major league debut.
That is crazy. And yet we don't really talk about them as a team of the future.
And we don't really talk about them a lot for their rookies.
No, we don't.
Mostly like Cincinnati, Cubbies.
Now,
the Rockies finished 41-40 at Coors Field. And in the season on the road, what's their record on the road, you think? They're 41-40 at Coors. What do you think they are on the road?
They're probably
horrible.
Like 25-50.
24-48.
Yeah, 24-48.
Here comes my favorite player.
And then here
my
comes
favorite player.
Andrea has predicted that this player is going to eventually wind up in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
But I don't know because he's not that great. The media doesn't like him as much.
Why is Eddie Heckman talking football? Is he on drugs? Eddie, are you
because
okay?
the Orioles are losing right now. They keep losing.
So Machado's homer off of Alex Colomé.
My favorite.
31 homers and 100 RBIs.
It's the second straight year and the third time he's driven in 100 runs or more. And
so you're saying
it's
Machado,
6 out of the last 7 he's hit over 30 homers.
And you're saying Machado is going to be a Hall of Famer?
He's the only long-term contract that the Padres have signed in recent years that's actually paying off because he has not disappointed in San Diego one bit. And I will say this, Hader and Soto seem to have figured it out because Soto in the last 9 games is hitting a lot better. So with Machado and Soto in the lineup, I think they will make the playoffs.
What do you think of Pete Alonso?
whatever. The Mets RBI record was only 124. I mean, if you look at the Yankees, the RBI record was like 170 or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, with Mickey Mantle or Willie Mays or someone.
Willie Mays.
I know.
Yankees.
Mickey Mantle.
That's why she's the roto lady.
How about this? The record for the Mets for RBIs, it was 124, and it was achieved by Mike Piazza
and David Wright.
Oh, David Wright did it too.
And David Wright.
Anyways, Alonso beat the record.
39 home runs, homered for the second straight day, and in the off season. Now, do you remember this?
What's a rubber match? I know what it is. It's the third game of a 3-game series.
I was going to ask you what a rubber is.
Rubber match game.
Oh,
I already know what it is.
What, a rubber? What's a rubber match?
It's the third game of a series that's split.
I was thinking before the show of asking you about that, and I decided it was not appropriate.
For a rubber match game?
Yeah.
Why is it not appropriate?
To ask you about it.
Why?
To ask you what a rubber is.
But I did it for you.
You did it for me. Okay, so 18-4 in rubber match games. The last team to win 17 was Texas.
They're 18-4 in rubber match games, the most the Mets since 1999.
Now, I'm going to mention this player, and you tell me about him, okay? There's something about him.
What about him?
Seth Brown.
What about him?
Hit his 25th home run. Now,
I can't even say what position he plays.
What are you going to say? Nobody could. What I'm telling you is that I talked about Seth Brown in the off season, telling everybody to pick him up. He was going to be the DH for Oakland, and what does he do? 25th home run. And the A's set a franchise record, 51 losses at the Coliseum.
And have 3 home games left.
Yeah.
So they lost 50 home games in 1979, but now they've broken the record. They've lost more home games than ever at home.
And finally, Starling Marte, he's so tough to take because of his injuries.
He had a CT scan on his fractured middle finger. Isn't it fun when you injure your middle finger? Then you could just go around flipping everybody off.
But he's not ruled out for the playoffs. And Freddie Freeman got a double in the first inning, 191 hits, tying his career high in 2018. And how about the American League batting race?
Who else even comes close to Aaron Judge? Okay.
What do you mean? Judge is hitting 314.3. Bogart's 313.8. Araz, 313.
Is the batting title based on just average?
Yes.
Well, Aaron Judge
It's the batting average title.
Suck on it.
All right.
Jose Abreu's hitting 304.
Yeah, but what player has the most extra base hits in a season without getting a triple? 1991. And he's playing now.
Judge.
No, close.
Stanton.
Right.
Stanton?
1991. Stanton. No, it was
It's got to be people that can't run fast.
It was 91 extra base hits, no triples in 2017.
Mark McGwire.
And McGwire did it also, okay?
In 98.
Now,
he had the most.
We'll finish up with some, by the way.
Jared Kalenic, 4 extra base hits in 3 games since he was recalled.
And Luis Castillo, the man who I predict next year will be the best pitcher in the American League.
The next 4 years, the Mariners have Castillo, Robbie Ray, Logan Gilbert, and George the Animal Kirby.
Oh, yeah. That's a great...
Why do we call him that?
And Kalenic, 4 extra base hits in his last 3 games.
Yeah.
Since he was recalled.
So the Mariners are set with their rotation for the next few years.
And we'll end you with this, okay? We'll end you with this.
End you? Luis
Chris
Robert.
Bryant is out.
Oh, wait.
Chris Bryant.
It's Luis Robert sitting. He actually went on the 10-day injured list. Yeah. That's what we were doing.
Oh, that's what it was. So Luis Robert.
Out. Byron Buxton out.
Shut down.
Chris Bryant out.
Chris Bryant now.
Done for the
after
season.
the whole year. And I've had him in my lineup all year.
He's out with foot problems.
Now, sad news, Shane Batts is going to undergo Tommy John surgery. So he'll be out for a little while. The Guardians, as you said before.
Oh, look at Gunnar Henderson.
We'll get
on
to
our
him.
list.
The Guardians, youngest team in Major League Baseball, if they make the postseason.
Hold on a minute.
But Gunnar Henderson.
Hold on a second. That doesn't make sense.
What?
Okay, yeah, Gunnar Henderson of the Orioles has only even been alive for 679 of Albert Pujols' 700 home runs.
Talk about
that means
useful
that
information, right?
Albert Pujols hit 21 home runs before Gunnar Henderson was alive.
Yep. And for the 5th time, the Yankees and the Mets are in the postseason in the same year.
Gunnar Henderson, what is he, 17?
And that should
How
do
old
it.
is he?
And that should do it. I mean, what is he, 19, 17, 15? I don't know.
Well,
Ask
Eddie's
Heckman.
already putting him in the Hall of Fame.
Eddie, how old is Gunnar Henderson? In any event, look, let's Louis Roberts
Robert. Okay,
out
hold
of
on.
the lineup.
Here's what he said. It says, this is Cairo.
Oh, this is
Miguel
unbelievable.
Luis Robert was out of the lineup after starting last Saturday and Tuesday. And here's what Cairo said. If he has a couple days off, he feels better, and soon he gets 2-3 at bats and he starts feeling the pain again.
And if he has the season off, he'll feel even better.
That's better.
And there you go. Elvis Andrus told us that he'd like to return to the White Sox, willing to change positions. He's played in 1,900 games at shortstop. He'll
And
be
he's
a
not
free
bad
agent.
there.
And there you go,
So that's
everybody.
it.
That takes care of that.
You have a whole 50 pages of notes left for tomorrow.
I still got more notes.
Happy New Year to everybody. Rosh Hashanah.
Yep.
Everybody.
Thank you, Big Al and the Proud. Thank you, Greg, Chris Gallo, Dennis Timko, Eddie Heckman, Jeff Trella, Kenny Flanagan, the king of all haps, Potato Pete,
Unholy Toledo.
Rotorius, Star Dog, Unholy Toledo.
Leonard was
Zelmo.
wearing his Toledo Mud Hens hat the other day, right?
There you go.
Toledo.
We absolutely adore you all, and we will see you tomorrow.
And Tony.
Thank you for listening to The Lady and the Legend. We'll be back tomorrow.